Yesterday in NYU, I was learning with some guys. One of the things I was talking to him about was the importance of brachot on food. And I think it got lost a lot. Yeah, people learned about it in elementary school and they got older. I don't know what happened to it. We got to bring it back. Adam, I need you to help me in the campaign. I have a dream. I have a dream that everybody will be saying brachot again. How do you like that?
They will.
They're going to say brachot again. Mashiach comes, everyone's going to say brachot. Everyone's going to wake up and do the right thing. But the question is, until Mashiach comes, everybody going to be saying brachot or not on their food? Both the brachot before they eat, both the brachot after they eat. We have to run a campaign. Adam,
Yeah.
we need your help. We need your help to encourage everybody. And work with me. I was speaking to some of the boys yesterday at college. Interesting.
Yep.
So okay, we are on 39B1. 39B1. I tell that, and some people I say, you can say your brachot out loud. Don't be embarrassed to say your brachot out loud, because you say it out loud, that other people will learn from you. Maybe if every time a person's loud, the other people will say, okay, he did it, I should do it too. I know to do it. We say in the davening, in a beautiful idea. I once heard from maybe Rabbi Singer Zechatzaddik Avrocha in name of Rabbi Moshe Feinstein. We say every day, we're going to be saying it this morning, right before the Shema, right before the Kriya Shema. We say, V'tein b'libeinu bina lahavin lahaskil. Give our heart the understanding. If you want to send to the group, Adam, if you want to multitask, listen and send to the group at the same time. The ability to understand, to have seichel, logic, the shmoa, to hear, lilmod, to learn, ulamed, to teach, the shmor, to guard, ulasot, and to perform, the shmor, not to violate, lasot, and to perform, ulakayim, at kol divrei Talmud Harazacha b'ava. And we ask for the ability that we should learn and we should teach. So Moshe Feinstein asks, is everybody a teacher? When you ask for something, you should ask for something that's a sensible request. The rabbis, the great rabbis of the Anshe Knesset HaGdolah, of the Great Assembly, who organized these brachot, these blessings, why would they ask you for something which doesn't seem to be practical for everybody? I mean, if you're asking everyone to say something, to request something, that means it's practical, it's related to you. But how is it related to you to ask for? Is everybody going to be a teacher? Everybody's asking you, give me the ability to learn and to teach. Everyone can learn, but is everyone going to be a teacher? And he says, yes, everybody teaches by their actions. You teach by your actions. They see you say a bracha out loud, they learn to say a bracha out loud. It's not always, you don't always teach by what you say, as we all know, it's what you do. And that's the idea. So you could be a teacher without realizing you're being a teacher. You know what I'm saying? Okay, it looks like Mark Ajmi is coming down. Is on the way. Okay. Morning, Mark.
Morning, Rabbi.
I thought yesterday I might have the honor. I was waiting for that day of the 22nd. I was looking forward, maybe. But today.
I flew back last night.
Oh, okay. You're back. You're ready. We're waiting for you. Adam said Mark's going to be coming back.
Thank you for thinking of me.
Yeah, 100%. And by the way, the fact that you say thank you, think of you, that's a show of humility, Mark. So you got to keep on being humble. Very
I'm
important.
working on it. Yeah.
You should know the problem with Paro. I'm not comparing you to Paro. The problem of Paro, the problem of Paro was he did not want to be humble himself. That was the problem. People,
Right.
and that's a lot of people suffer that problem. Ad matai, until when are you going to refuse to humble yourself? That was Paro's problem. And it's a problem a lot of people in this world have. I'm sorry to say, but you could see it in your work and your dealings with people.
Absolutely. I
Yeah,
see it
so
all the
people
time.
don't.
We could learn humility from you. You have a beautiful way about that.
Thank you, Mark.
You're always lifting everybody up.
Thank you for your kind words. Okay, Mark. We started a new piece yesterday on Lamitet Beis 39b, where the Gemara, the new piece was connected to the Mishnah on a segment of the Mishnah. The Mishnah stated that there were the people of Tiberias, of Tiberia, that they went ahead and before Shabbat, they set up a pipe, and they had cold water running through this pipe, and they put the pipe into the hot springs of Tiberia. And therefore, on Shabbat, water came through the pipe and heated up the water on Shabbat. And the rabbi said that water that was heated up on Shabbat is a problem to use that water that was heated up on Shabbat, even though you set up the system before Shabbat. And the reason that the Gemara gives, one reason the Gemara says, is because the issue here is the issue of insulation. That you insulated the water with the pipe. So the cold water was insulated with the pipe, and it's going through a hot, and it's been heating up. So you can't go ahead and insulate a food. You can't insulate a food before Shabbat with something that's going to increase heat to the food. Meaning, I can't go ahead and take a pot of chicken or whatever it is, and before Shabbat, I can't go ahead and wrap it on all four sides in something that's going to increase the heat, with a material that's going to increase the heat. So if I wrap the pot, I insulate the pot on all sides with a material that increases the heat, let's say that would be a problem. And here it was wrapped, let's say the water was wrapped in a pipe, but it was also in the water. The cold water was in the pipe, which was encased in the hot water of the springs of Tiberia, which is giving heat to the water. And the rabbi said you can't. That's the problem. And the reason why the rabbi said that this is a problem is because the rabbis were afraid that if you would go ahead and wrap an item before Shabbat, even before Shabbat, in something that's going to increase the heat to the item, maybe you're going to come to wrap with hot ash, and then you might come, if you wrap with hot ash, you might come to stoke that ash on Shabbat. So that was the issue and the Mishnah stated that the people of Tiberia, they went ahead and they did this. They set up the pipe, so they set up a system where that the water will be heated. It's wrapped and heated. It's going to be heated, And the rabbi said the water that was heated up on Shabbat that came through this system, this pipe on Shabbat, that water is forbidden for you to use. And the rabbi said that they can't use it for rechitza, they can't use it for washing, and we're gonna have to identify what that means, and they can't use it for drinking. Drinking is very
So, but it has nothing to do with actually what they're doing. It has to do with what you're wrapping it with, and then potentially stoking coals.
right. As a result, even though there's no
Coals here.
there's no coals to stoke over here, but
So if you go to a place like I don't know, the hottest place outside where you could take a pot, if you leave it out in the sun, the pot would get hot. You would burn yourself if you touch it. So, right? And it surely would warm the food inside the pot. Or so am I allowed to like just leave a pot outside in the hot sun? If it's
right.
very place that's very hot.
So when you were away, the Gemara discussed that, and the Gemara said that the sun, there's no problem of heating up. It's a fascinating concept. You could heat up food on Shabbat. You could crack an egg on a plate in the sun on Shabbat, because the sun is not a source of the heat that the Torah forbids. The Torah forbids cooking with fire. The sun is not a fire, and therefore you could cook an egg technically on Shabbat in the sun. That's what it says in Shulchan Aruch as well. But if you want to use a derivative of the sun, let's say the sun heated up a scarf, and now you want to crack the egg on the scarf, and you want to use the scarf as a source of heat, not the sun, because the scarf received this heat from the sun. You can't do that. Why?
I can't put it on a metal plate.
Right. You can't put on a metal plate that the metal got heated up from the sun. Right. Exactly.
Right.
And you can't. And the Gemara says, what's the reason for that? Why should the derivative be worse than the actual source? Right. It only got heated up if you could actually crack an egg in the sun. You should be able to crack an egg in something that was heated up from the sun. So the Gemara says, the way Rashi explains is that there's a very big concern regarding a derivative. What do I mean? Because you can't cook from a fire. Not only you can't cook from the fire, it's a Torah prohibition. If the fire heated up something, if let's say fire heated up metal, it's a biblical prohibition for cracking an egg onto that metal. The same way that the Torah forbids you don't cook with fire, there's also a prohibition, right, Adam, that you can't cook with a derivative of fire, something that fire heated up. And the concern is if you have metal, Mark, that was heated up from the sun, people don't know that it was heated up from the sun. People might think it was heated up by fire. And if you go ahead and you would use that and use it, even though technically on a Torah level, if it's heated from the sun, you could use it, people will think and mistakenly think they could also use a derivative of fire. And therefore, the rabbi said that a derivative of the sun, we're going to make a rabbinic prohibition that you can't go ahead and use a derivative of the sun to cook with on Shabbat. But the sun itself, people see.
Look at us here! Wow.
People see. People see what's heated up from the sun. So therefore, it's open that it's heated up from the sun. When you have a piece of metal coming in front of you, and now you don't know, and now that's doing the cooking, the onlooker doesn't see how it's being cooked. So the onlooker will make a distinction between, knows that sun is not a problem, but however when they see this when they see the metal, they don't know what the history of the metal was, how the metal got heated up, right, Adam? So that's what we said. But see here, there's another problem. The problem is that it's a derivative, that it's Right, so here we have the derivative, it's a derivative issue, concern. So the story of Tiberia, right, the Gemara wanted, some understand that the story getting back, good morning, Ronnie. So the story of Tiberia, there seems to be, so some are learning that it's a derivative, it's the issue is because of the encasing of the waters of Tiberia in this hot springs, encasing the cold water, non-waters of Tiberia, in the hot springs of Tiberia, so that encasing is the problem of why you can't use that water, because it's being encased and it's being insulated from before Shabbat in something that's going to be adding heat. That's the Gemara, what the Gemara says. And we said, remember the law, everybody. Mark, you with me? Ronnie, you with me? The law is that you could insulate a pot. You could insulate a pot of food that was cooked on a fire before Shabbat only with something which doesn't add heat, right? You could take a pot of food before Shabbat, take it off the fire, wrap it in a towel. Adam, we got that down pat. But I can't wrap it in something that adds heat. But on Shabbat itself, we say you can't even insulate it with something that doesn't add heat, right? On Shabbat, I can't take the pot off the fire Friday night, right? Morning, Mark. Bruchim habayim. Welcome back. I can't go ahead and take the food off the fire Friday night and wrap it in a towel. You see that, Mark? People might not be aware of that halacha. It's not a well-known halacha. You can't take a pot of soup or a pot of whatever Friday night, whatever your pot is. Your wife says, you know what, the pot is so hot, or whatever the reason is, they took off the food, and right, to keep it hot Friday night. If on Shabbat itself, you can't take a pot that you cooked with and wrap it in a towel. You could do that Friday afternoon. Friday before Shabbat, your wife says, it's the summertime. I don't want any fires on in the house. For Shabbat, it's just getting too hot in here. Let's just close. Well, right before I light the candles, I'll take the pot of soup off the fire. I'll wrap it in a towel. That's fine, because that was done when? Before Shabbat, and the towel does not add any heat. But on Shabbat itself, you cannot take the pot off on Shabbat itself and wrap it on all sides with the towel. Now, if you don't wrap it on all sides, and that's not called insulating. We'll have to see more details exactly how much you have to leave open. But if you leave open one side, you wrap it on three sides, it's not a problem. But that's not called insulating. So now on Shabbat, you could actually take the pot off and wrap it on a few sides and leave a side open. That's not called wrapping. So but the Gemara here is focused. We're on page 39b1. The Gemara here is dealing with trying to understand the law of forbidding the water that was heated up as a result of this hot springs that you had insulated it, but it's something that adds heat. So the Gemara wants to know what is the source, what is the reason why we're saying that we said that the water is forbidden. That water that was heated up on the Shabbat as a result of this piping, you can't wash with that. You can't wash with that water. What type of washing are we referring to? Washing is a very general word. Your hands, your feet, your whole body. What is washing? What are we telling you over here when we say that it's forbidden to wash with this water that was heated up through the piping that was heated, that you set up before Shabbat, but was heated up on Shabbat? So the Gemara says like this. Let's go. We're going to go back to that point. We are on 39b1, first column, third paragraph. Ma'aseh she'asu anshe Tiberia, right? That was the story of of the people of Tiberia when they set up the piping. The rabbi said, "Don't. It's not good. Yeah, you can't use it for washing the water that was heated up on Shabbat." My rechitza. What does it mean? What type of washing are we referring to? You got it? Ilema lerechitzat kol gufo. Oh, we're referring to washing your whole body. Then that water that you used that was heated up on Shabbat through this piping, you bathe your whole body. So the indication is only the water that was heated up on Shabbat, that through this pipe I can't use to bathe my whole body. But water that was not heated up through this piping on Shabbat, water that was heated up, let's say before Shabbat, I could use it for washing, bathing. But the Gemara says that's not true. You can't take a hot bath on Shabbat, even with water. You prepare the water before Shabbat. You don't take a hot bath. The Gemara says because which the Gemara says.
Heating systems for the water, where the water goes on periodically, randomly, keep the water hot. And halachically, the rabbi said,
To keep the water hot. And what are you using the water for? But not for bathing. They wouldn't allow bathing in a tub. Maybe if you're saying those in that situation, whatever that situation is, they would make a distinction between a shower and but I'm saying, but a tub they wouldn't allow a tub.
Right.
I'm
saying, I thought that the hot water is just now usable, but it's not totally.
Right, it's not exactly. We are learning here today, Mark, that it's not totally. And you're going to go back and you're going to talk to the people about it, and you say, "Can I take a bath in that hot water?" They're going to say, "No, you can't." Why? What's the issue with the hot water bath? What's I mean? No, I didn't hear of the system. No. A lot of Ashkenazim generally they won't take showers on Shabbat. Even cold showers they don't take on Shabbat. So Sfardim maybe it's different, but Sfardim do, but the Ashkenazim don't take a lot of. Very good. I mean, there are different issues with the shower. Some of them are similar issues, but the pool has its issues. But the shower, I mean, but the shower, some people are afraid of the hair, squeezing out hair. There's other issues with the other whatever issues with but like I said, it sounds like the Sfardim they might take cold showers. So even if the system that you're talking about with the hot, but they were not allowed a tub. Why weren't they allowed to take a bath in hot water? My rechitza.
So here they're talking about the water was heated before Shabbat. You still can't use it.
But it wasn't really heated before. Meaning, we're saying if you have water that was heated before Shabbat, you filled up the tub before Shabbat, you can't use that on Shabbat.
Okay.
Can't use that. And the Mishnah here is very specific that the only water that you can't use is water that was heated up through the system on the Shabbat. So it can't be we're referring to bathing your whole body. Because if we're talking about if the Mishnah, it's anyways you can't bathe, nothing to do with the water you heated up on the heat. And that's right. And the statement would not be true. You can't just tell me you can't use this water that was heated up on Shabbat through the hot springs of Tiberia. That water that was heated up on Shabbat, you can't use for bathing. You can't use for bathing even if it was heated up before Shabbat. It's not a true statement. That's the
Gemara. Not at all.
What?
Not hot at all.
Right, but that's most probably more of I presume, a later discussion. But at the time of Morris, I was thinking of you this morning, and here you are. I gotta keep on thinking of you. Okay. So the Gemara says, Vatanya, we learned in the Breita, Chamin. We got it. Let's read it inside again. Ilema, Morris, we are on 39b1, first column. Ilema rechitzat kol gufo. If we're referring to bathing your whole body, Only water that was heated up on Shabbat, you're not allowed to bathe your whole body. Of a Shabbat, but water that was heated up before Shabbat, mutar, permitted. Vatani, we learned in the Braita, Chamin, Shulchomo Be'erev Shabbat, Chamin, hot water that was heated up before Friday, you heat up water before Shabbat, mutar l'mocha, the next day, rochis and panav yodav raglav, you can wash your face, your hands, and your feet. Of a local gufo, you can't bathe your whole body in that water. Now, what was the reason we saw yesterday? Why can't you take a bath in hot water on Shabbat that you prepared before Shabbat? What's the problem? The Gemara says because there was these bathhouses, and in the bathhouses, people would go to the bathhouse, and the manager of the bathhouse sometimes wasn't honest. What do I mean not honest? He would go ahead, he would heat up the water on Shabbat, and he would say, I heated it up before Shabbat. And people would go ahead and they would come to the bathhouse on Shabbat. Friday, Shabbat morning, you want to take a bath, get up in the morning, and then whenever they were in the afternoon, they want to take a bath, a schwitz, whatever, they want to take a bath, at least a bath. And the guy would heat it up on Shabbat, and he'd say, I did it before Shabbat. Unscrupulous practice. And I presume he did it because for his business. If the water is not, if you can't heat up the water on Shabbat, the water is not going to be so hot. Obviously, it's a big job of the guy to keep the water hot for a customer to come on Shabbat. So therefore, the rabbi said we can't bathe on Shabbat even on water that was heated up before Shabbat, because if you allow that, they're going to heat it up on Shabbat, and they're going to make a story, say a story, which. You ever go into a store, you want to buy a suit, and they say, I'm selling it to you, it costs me more than I'm charging you. Now, if it's true that he's going out of business, or he's getting rid of the merchandise, and sometimes it could be true, but that if 12 months a year you come into the store, and every time he tells you the same story, I'm sorry to say, I don't know how true of a statement, I bet many of you have experienced such a statement. I'm selling it to you, cost me more than I'm selling it to you. I don't know if you ever experienced that line. But some people say things that are not exact. And some people not only say things, they do things that are not exact. Right. Now, so the Gemara says, Ella, so what is the Mishnah telling you that I can't do? What kind of washing I can't do? When it says forbidden to wash with this water that came through on Shabbat and was heated up on Shabbat through this piping. Ella panav yadav v'raglav. That it's referring to your hands, your feet, and your face, which generally you could use if you heated up water before Shabbat. You want to wash your hands with that hot water, no problem. You want to wash your face, no problem. But the chidush here is this water you can't. Morning, this water you can't go ahead and use even for what? For washing your hands and face and feet. That is the novelty over here. So the chidush over here is that this water of Tiberia the water you heated through the waters of Tiberia can't be used even for your face and your hands. So that's something that generally I could use water that was heated up before Shabbat for hands and feet. But this water that was heated up on Shabbat through this piping, I can't use for my hands and feet. So the Gemara says, Ema Seifa. Now, how does this? Morning, good to see you, Albert. So how does this fit with the Seifa? The Seifa is the end, Sof, right? The end of the Mishnah. Look what the Mishnah says at the end. Ema Seifa. B'Yom Tov. If the story happened on Yom Tov, you set up the piping before Yom Tov, right? You set up this cold water piping system that it should go through the hot springs of Tiberia, and water gets heated up on the Shabbat through this piping system. Now on Yom Tov, you can heat up water on Yom Tov, right? You can heat up water on Yom Tov. You could cook on Yom Tov. So from a pre-existing fire, you cook. Ema Sefer. But what does the Mishnah say? The waters that were heated up on Yom Tov, that came through that piping on Yom Tov, are like waters that were heated up on Yom Tov, and you could drink the water, but it says you can't wash with that water. Now, what does that mean? I can't wash with that water. What type of washing are we telling me that this water that was heated up on Yom Tov, I can't wash with that water? Is that talking about washing my face or washing my whole body? Right? Right, on the case of the festival. Now we're moving to the festival, moving to the Yom Tov. I set up the piping. The case of the Mishnah was they set up the piping on Shabbat, and they set up this piping on Shabbat, and they set up this piping, and the rabbi said, right, if it happened on Shabbat, this will be the law, and if they did this on Yom Tov, they set up before Yom Tov, this will be the law. So they're saying that the law is that if you set up the piping before Yom Tov, and now the water gets heated up because it runs through the piping on Yom Tov, you can't use it for washing. The obvious question is, what's the problem?
Piping set once for the whole term. It's not like something for temporarily. The piping through the spring, like they do it once. Piping 3 hours, you don't put it on today.
Right.
Put it through tomorrow. Put it before holiday. Put it before Shabbat. Put it once.
Yeah, it's I don't know if the situation is that they yeah, so but even if we say that that's the way it was, but the end of the day is the issue here of the insulating issue. So there's still something was being heated up through insulation. At least that would be the Shabbat. Right, because but since it's insulated, we have
establish that wash your body with it.
Right. Now Yom Tov, now there should not be a problem insulating on Yom Tov. Yom Tov, you're allowed to even cook. So we have to see what's the issue on Yom Tov. Exactly. What's the issue on this water that was cooked up? Is there an issue? Right. We would say, right, welcome Steve. We would say Yom Tov, you could go ahead and you could cook on Yom Tov and you could use water that you cook with to, you're not limited to use it for, no, they don't bathe on Yom Tov either. So
Not shower, cold shower.
They're not even, yeah,
No.
but they're asking, no, cold shower is legal for the Sfardim, cold showers are legal, no question.
Right.
Ashkenazim, it's on Yom Tov, they're also, some of us are strict. Because again, there's different issues with the showers, that some Ashkenazim are more strict about. On Yom Tov, even on Yom cold shower on Yom Tov. How do you like that? They go to the mikveh. They're always every morning they're getting there. 7 days a week they go into the pool, so to speak, the mikveh pool. Okay.
I know a lot of people.
I go to the mikveh every day. Okay.
Do people have the mask?
Wait, Rabbi, you're allowed to go to the mikveh on Shabbat?
Oh, that's a great question. Can you go to the mikveh on Shabbat? So so we say the people who go every day could go on Shabbat. But if I don't go every day to the mikveh, so I want to decide on Shabbat, I want to go to the mikveh, I don't do it. I can't tell you what the Sephardi halach is, but that's Ashkenaz. The person who goes every day, they can go every day. They can go even on Shabbat. Okay, now.
And Rabbi, what about, like, I know we're not going to get into a halacha class, but what if you're in a hotel, right?
Say it again?
In a hotel. You're in a
Right.
hotel and there's a jacuzzi. Or for men, let's say for men, right? It's a separate area just for men. Let's say in a hotel, there's a jacuzzi. Can you go in on Shabbat or can you put the shower on? Because, it's, I'm sure their heaters are firing up all day for people in the hotel.
Again, no hot water. Don't take hot water. About if you go to a hotel, about a jacuzzi on Shabbat or okay, we got more.
No. Just be careful. You can check what I say to make sure. But since I'm being home, in a hotel, majority of the people are goyim. and it's a big hotel, you're not gonna be active
The-
flying water, you could take a hot shower.
They say the same for the phone.
I understand, he asked about the question about hotel. Since he said it doesn't make his hotel or phone. But,
Morning.
but if everybody, like if you're in Israel, the whole place is Jewish, if you're in Jerusalem, you can't do it.
Because Jews are heating up the water, whatever, it's done for Jews. Morning, everybody. So
Rabbi,
now,
is there an issue also? Sorry, I didn't mean to. Like a
No.
sauna or a steam room if you're in a hotel on Shabbat? Is there like a? Do we know
I mean-
if there's like a issue?
What do you say?
about, let's say, a steam room, these type of things on Shabbat, I don't, we'll have to look more into it.
Okay, okay, yeah, I'm just curious.
Good questions, yes.
Okay,
Okay. So the Gemara says, what do we mean to say on Yom Tov, the water that got heated up through this system that they set up before Yom Tov, we say you can't use that water on Yom Tov for washing. What type of washing are we talking about? You know, if you heat up water on Yom Tov, you could wash your face, you could wash your hands. Let's see, Yom Tov. So we say, if you have on Yom Tov, kechamish yochma b'Yom Tov. V'asurin b'rechitza umutarim b'shtiya. You could go ahead and take a wash with it. The water that was heated up on Yom Tov, you could wash with it, but you can't. You can't wash, but you could drink. So the Gemara says, who is such an opinion? You know who has that opinion? That's Beis Shammai. That meaning, if you're talking about your feet and your hands, Beit Hillel says you could go ahead and wash your feet and your hands on Yom Tov with hot. You could take hot water, cook up hot water on Yom Tov from a pre-existing fire, and wash your hands and feet with the hot water. Who is the opinion that says you can't wash your hands and feet with hot water that was cooked up on Yom Tov? That's Beis Shammai. That's Beis Shammai's opinion that says you can't go ahead and do that. Lema Tnan Stama ki Beis Shammai. Maybe the Mishnah saying, are you going to say that Mishnah's going like Beis Shammai? The general rule is the law follows who? Beit Hillel. So it's hard to imagine that this Mishnah is saying a law.
Well, we didn't talk about the whole body.
Oh, very good. But once we establish that the Resha, the beginning of the Mishnah, is not talking about the whole body. So it would seem that if you're talking about, so if you're using the word washing, and you're saying, what do I mean by washing? It's forbidden washing. I'm referring to the hands and the feet. So and then you use the same word, forbidden washing, at the end of the Mishnah, it's clearly talking about hands and feet. So if you're talking about hands and feet, so therefore, who is the one that says you can't cook water on Yom Tov and use that water for your hands and the feet? You know who that is? That's Beis Shammai. And it's not logical to say that Reb Yehuda Nasi, that the author of the Mishnah, who organized the Mishnah, is saying a law like Beis Shammai. That usually the law followed Beit Hillel. And if the law would follow Beis Shammai, you will probably have to list it as one of the exceptions of the general rule. And so therefore, Lema Tanan, it's like in a question form. Lema Tanan, like we learned in the Mishnah, Stama, ki Beis Shammai, like Beis Shammai did not. We learned in the Mishnah in Gemara and Beitza. Beis Shammai Omrim. Beis Shammai says, you can't go ahead. The cooking on Yom Tov could only be for let's say, for food purposes. He doesn't allow you to go ahead and for you could drink, but drinking, eating, things that are related to food. But you can't go ahead and heat up cook water on Yom Tov for non-food purposes, right? To go ahead and you want to wash your hands and feet with that water. You can't heat up on Yom Tov l'raglav for your feet, for your hands and your feet. Elim kain ru'uyin gam l'shtiyah. Beis Shammai says you only could go ahead and heat up water on Yom Tov if you go ahead. If you did it, some of the water I'm going to use for drinking. So if I'm going to use some of the water for drinking, I heat it up a pail of water, a bucket of water.
With the pipe through the thing, or just heating water in general?
And Beis Shammai in general. Beis Shammai says if you want to go ahead and heat water on Yom Tov, you could heat one on Yom Tov if you did it for specifically, the only way is only if you did it specifically to drink some of the water. So then, if I did it to drink the water and I have leftover water, then I could go ahead and use it for washing my hands. Bishama says, if I can only go ahead and use my hands and feet, if I went ahead and the only way I can use it for my hands and my feet, if I went ahead and if I specifically cooked the water for drinking purposes, exactly. But if once I cooked it for drinking purpose, the leftover water, I could go ahead and wash for. So, but now the Gemara says, now, Beit Hillel matirim. Beit Hillel says you could go ahead and you could heat up water on Yom Tov just for the fact I want to wash my hands and my feet. So if the Mishnah is talking about right, because it can't be Beisham. If the Mishnah is saying you can't go ahead and use it for your hands and your feet, you can't even wash your hands and your feet. That's Beishamai's position. Which that's not the law. You're allowed to go ahead and cook water to wash your hands and your feet. So on Yom Tov. So we'll have to see not tomorrow, on Monday, how do we explain this Gemara? Have a great day, everybody. We welcome Jack. Jack is back. We see Jack is back.
Rabbi, have a wonderful spot. Listen, I want to tell you something. Your email that you sent out on Fridays, I don't think there's an attachment this time.
Oh, so, I mean, didn't it come through?
Yeah, the email came in because I was just checking my email, but there's no attachment. I
will tell the person. Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah. Of course. Rabbi, take care. I'll see you.
Have a great day, everybody. You too. Have a great day, everybody. Mark's back. Jack's back. We're getting back into shape.